Few Assyrian rulers are as well remembered as Assurbanipal, considered by many historians to be the last great king of Assyria. Reigning for over 40 years, Assurbanipal not only consolidated his power, but also witnessed the beginning of the empire's decline, which had once been unbeatable. During his long reign, Assurbanipal led several military campaigns that further strengthened Assyria's power. His conquests were often marked by brutality, becoming his trademark. He was one of the few kings who openly described civilian massacres and used various brutal methods to subjugate them. This cruel behavior was not just a show of power, but also a tactic to demoralize and terrify Assyria's enemies. In this video, we will explore his history, from his rise to the throne, his campaigns, and his early reign and decline. The story of the man who was known in his time as the king of the world did not begin as grand as it seems. Assurbanipal was not born to be king. It is likely that he was the fourth son of Esarhaddon, the king of the Assyrian Empire. Thus, he was not expected to become king. His older brother, Shamash-shum-ukin, was prepared for that role. However, for an unknown reason, in 672 BCE, Esarhaddon decided to name Assurbanipal as the heir to Assyria and Shamash-shum-ukin as the heir to Babylon. This choice was notable for attempting to innovate and resolve succession issues through the division of power. Traditionally, the Assyrian king governed both Assyria and Babylon, consolidating control over the vast empire, but also fueling rivalries. By separating the kingdoms, Esarhaddon sought to mitigate internal conflicts and provide more focused and efficient governance for each region. However, this division also created new tensions. By promoting Assurbanipal over Shamash-shum-ukin, Esarhaddon risked repeating the cycle of fraternal rivalry that had marked his own rise to power. In 669 BCE, Esarhaddon died, and Assurbanipal assumed control of the Assyrian Empire. Upon coming to power, Assurbanipal used his knowledge of war and brutality to conduct campaigns effectively and without compassion. This combination of cunning and brutality earned him the title of the cruelest king of all Assyria. During his long reign from 669 to 627 BCE, Assurbanipal turned cruelty into a powerful weapon, using psychological terror to dominate his enemies and consolidate his power. Early in his reign, he sent armies to suppress revolts in Egypt caused by the Kushite pharaoh Taharka. During this time, Assurbanipal had the support of various vassal rulers in Egypt and allies from other states, including King Manasseh of Judah. After a series of battles, the Assyrians prevailed. Following Taharka's death, his nephew became the new ruler of Egypt, but was quickly defeated by the Assyrians, resulting in the sacking of Thebes and the looting of its treasures. Assurbanipal knew that brute force alone would not be enough to keep his vast empire united and submissive. He needed something more, something that penetrated deeply into the minds of his enemies and made them tremble in fear at the mere mention of his name. To achieve this, he employed a form of cruelty that went beyond simple executions. When he captured enemy kings, he did not settle for a quick death. Instead, he sought methods that caused maximum pain and humiliation, both physical and psychological. Each act of violence was calculated to send a clear message. Challenging Assurbanipal meant facing a horrifying and unforgettable death. His strategy of terror aimed to demoralize and weaken his enemies even before they entered battle. The fame and cruelty of King Assurbanipal were evident in his military campaigns against Babylon and Elam. Babylon, governed by his older brother Shamash-shum-ukin, dared to rebel against the Assyrian Empire in 652 BCE, seeking independence and to govern Babylon without Assyrian influence. Tension between the brothers grew, fueled by the Babylonians' resentment against Assyrian rule and the support of Elamite rulers, traditional enemies of Assyria. Shamash-shum-ukin started a revolt, encouraged by the certainty of southern support. He addressed Babylonian citizens, urging them to join him against Assyrian control. According to Assurbanipal's inscriptions, Shamash-shum-ukin manipulated the sentiments of his compatriots, promising them liberation and portraying Assurbanipal as an oppressor who shamed the Babylonians. Assurbanipal, in his inscriptions, expressed deep betrayal, writing about how Shamash-shum-ukin, whom he had treated well and established as king of Babylon, had turned against him. In the year 650 BCE, Assurbanipal devised a better strategy than simply attacking the city, which risked defeat by his brother. He decided to besiege the city for several months, cutting off supplies. The situation became increasingly dire, with the city succumbing to hunger and disease as it was slowly strangled by Assyrian forces. Assurbanipal's accounts described the citizens' agony, reaching the point of cannibalism to survive. After 2 years of siege, Babylon finally fell in 648 BCE, subjected to brutal sacking by Assyrian troops. A great fire erupted in the city, consuming everything. What happened to Shamash-shum-ukin afterward is a mystery, but it is believed he took his own life by throwing himself into the flames, knowing what Assurbanipal would do if he were captured alive. This may not have been Assurbanipal's most important military campaign. His most significant campaign likely led to the near total destruction of Elam's capital. In 647 BCE, Assurbanipal marched against the city of Susa, the capital of Elam, with a large army. The city's walls were no match for his vast army, and Susa fell quickly and brutally. Assyrian soldiers spread through the streets like a plague of locusts, looting, destroying, and killing without mercy. Temples and sacred places were looted, and Elamite gods were toppled and desecrated. Assurbanipal ordered salt to be spread over the fields around Susa to ensure the land became infertile, unable to produce crops for the foreseeable future. The message was clear: Elam would never rise again. Assurbanipal documented every detail of this victory, with numerous carved reliefs and clay tablets depicting the atrocities, as if they were trophies of the Assyrian king. He wanted everyone to know and remember that defying him meant facing a fate worse than death. Assurbanipal's story did not end with cruelty alone. He also made his mark as a great patron of the arts and culture. The famous Library of Nineveh, considered one of the oldest libraries in history, is attributed to him. It contained thousands of clay tablets with literary, scientific, and religious texts, showcasing another aspect of his reign, a commitment to knowledge and the preservation of Assyrian culture. However, as with all great stories, Assurbanipal's also had its decline. The final years of his reign were marked by internal problems and rebellions. His victory over his brother in Babylon came at a high cost. The constant wars he waged led to many internal revolts, as not all Assyrians agreed with the violence and brutality of his rule. These internal revolts drained the empire's resources, and after Assurbanipal's death, Around 627 BCE, Assyria quickly collapsed. Just 13 years later, in 612 BCE, the king of Media invaded and destroyed Nineveh, the Assyrian capital, bringing an end to what was once the greatest empire in the world. If you enjoyed learning more about this Assyrian king's history, I will leave a video about the complete lineage of Assyrian rulers, from the rise to the fall of the empire, next to this one. See you in the next video.